But thank you very much for joining us in today's session. My name is Gustavo Santamaria. I am a psychologist. This is my background, but my profession has been as a career as a college counselor through the past decade. And I am one of the U4U co-founders. And today we're here to introduce you, our company, and also our services. Welcome, Laura. And Laura, it's now formally our new managing director for the Barbados new office. And today we want to give you an overview and highlights of what the U4U is, what we do, what are some of the outcomes we have had through the years. But I'm going to let you, Laura, explain a little bit of yourself, why you decided to join this project, and how can we help the Barbadian potential students meeting their goal to study abroad. So, Laura, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me, Gus, properly? Because we were
Yeah.
having some technical issues before the webinar. Well, hello, everyone. It's wonderful to see you all here today. So many familiars and friends' faces. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Gus, for the introduction. We are delighted to start with this initiative in Barbados. Many of you already know me as I have the joy of living 4 years in Barbados, and I'm thrilled to be back with such an exciting opportunity for teenagers to explore the benefits of studying abroad. Well, as a professional and a mother of 2 teenagers, I understand how challenging and sometimes overwhelming this process can feel. And that's exactly why we are here in Barbados, to help the journey to be smoother and more reassuring for both students and parents. What's the most important that we always remind the families is that there is always a program, a university, a career path that's right fit for each student. So do not overwhelm and panic. And if one door closes, another will open, and often leading you even to a better path aligned with their strengths and dreams. This is a very personal and unique journey. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce you today's keynote speaker, Gustavo Santamaria. He's the co-founder of the U4U, a company dedicated to helping teenagers and professionals to study abroad. Gustavo and the U4U are a true expert in college admissions with 15 years of experience in 8 Latin American countries and have helped more than 5,000 students and families achieving their dream. Gustavo, the floor is all yours. Let's get this wonderful webinar started.
Well, thank you very much for this introduction, Laura, and thank you all for being here. So the way we structure this presentation is telling you the 5 biggest questions about who we are, when is the best time to start counseling my son or daughter, or if you're a student yourself, you as a student, to start preparing for college. I want to give you a little bit of instructions before we get really started. There is a chat room in the Zoom meeting. And if you have a question, just write it down. We have people from the team that are here present to be answering whatever questions you have. The questions that I receive, I will read them out loud. I won't disclose who you are, but you can write them down. And then the team that is joining us today is going to help me navigate and answer every questions. But let me give you more explanation about how the U4U was born. It started 11 years ago in Panama. The actual founder is Melanie Milanés. She was the one who started this company in Panama because herself studied abroad in a hospitality school in Switzerland, and her school reached out to her to help them in the recruitment. So the way we started was recruiting for specific universities. However, the market has changed through the years. At the beginning, we only partnered with very little universities. We had 20, 50, 100, 200, and now in 2025, we have over 1,000 institutions that are distributed among universities, colleges, boarding schools, language schools, summer and winter camp providers. So we really cover a lot of educational programs. However, the way we do our advisory is very customized. And by customized, I mean that we like meeting the families and the student, and we like framing their profiles into several pillars. We do not only focus on the academics, which is a very important part of the process, but we like focusing on how do I want my college experience to be? What are the size of classes that I envision to have when I go to college? What other activities besides the major I want to include when I am studying abroad? What are my expectations once I graduate? Sometimes I might be 17 years old, but for you parents, you're going to make a huge investment sending your kids abroad. It's going to cost probably over $100,000 in total after 3, 4, or 5 years. And you would like to have clarity in what is the return of investment. We also like talking about that. Especially some countries have really opened doors for people to keep working 1 year after they graduate, or 2 years, or 3 years. Some other countries might have merit-based scholarships or regional scholarships as well. And for us, it's very important that you really understand the different contexts, the different educational systems, how the universities work, where are you right now in the process. And that is why our first step is clarity of purpose. We cannot start a college admissions counseling without knowing what your purpose is going to be. And purpose is a very big word. So the way we do it are through several design or counseling services. For example, if you don't know what you want to study, we might start that way with our in-house process named career design, which is psychological sessions structured into 4 or 5 sessions to help families explore what they want to do, to help the students navigate what the purpose might be, and to start mapping a roadmap that can start from grade 9 or in grade 12 to really have clarity in that purpose. Also, maximizing opportunities. Maybe some of you have very high end goals, or maybe some of your children, they want to go to selective universities. So starting building that curriculum since the very early years of high school or of secondary education is important, because when we write a motivation letter, we do not only want to reflect passion, but we also want to reflect commitment. And commitment can be back up if we have evidence of what we want to do with extracurricular activities, with summer programs, with non-paid jobs, or with paid internships, with volunteering experiences, or with any meaningful experience that will strengthen or really give us more solid information about the path that we want to decide. Reducing stress is very important. I know this can be a very stressful process for many families because we don't know, we don't have a lot of control in the outcome. Like, how is life going to be? How do admission departments work in Canada? If I want my son to enter the University of Alberta, which is one of the U8 top 8 universities in Canada, what do I have to do? What classes are going to be considered? What grades are more important? Are they looking for an overall GPA, or are they looking for specific grades in specific subjects? Those questions are really good if we can answer them beforehand. Before you start selecting your coursework at school, if you come from a school that gives you the liberty to choose what classes you want to enroll, all those details, we can look them down and give you clarity in the way we counsel our students. And then smarter finances. Today in the presentation, I'm going to go over to some budgets. I know some of the myth and stereotypes some people have about studying abroad is that it can be very expensive, and some schools can be very expensive, but some of them cannot. They can be very affordable and sometimes pretty much comparable than if we make our children stay in our country of origin. Just to give you a heads up, if some family from the countryside of Panama send their children to study in the capital, how much are they going to pay in an apartment, buying a car, or in Uber, or in transportation, in tuition, in living expenses, in meals, in every cost that we can consider from a teenager's perspective? So when we counsel in finances, we consider all that, and we give you a global budget that can be for 1 year, for 1 to 4 years. It depends on the program that you're looking for. So when should a teenager or the family start the career and university planning process? It could be as early as in ninth grade or as late as in 12th grade. Ninth grade is very specific and it's optional. However, we recommend it if you are planning to send your kid to an Ivy League university or to a highly ranked university in North America, in the UK, in Ireland, or in Australia/New Zealand. Because sometimes we have to build that curriculum, motivation, and passion are very strong components, but are not enough. Every passion needs to have a backup, needs to have evidence. We need to have a curriculum, but we don't need to have an exaggerated curriculum with 20 options, with 20 extracurriculars. We need to show consistency. We need to show the way we make choices around our career path, how strong our interest can be, how far can we take them from an extracurricular to a super curricular activity as well. So that is what we would focus on grade ninth. I would totally recommend starting with a self-assessment, with a career design process, because despite ninth grade is not the moment in which you will commit to one career, you can commit to one area. If you're more into research, okay, let's practice what is doing research. If we're more into the entrepreneurial career path, let's start in a way that it's okay for you. If we're more into the creative industries, if we're more into an analytical program now with all the technology that it's available, and that computer science is just one degree out of 10 to 15 different options from technology and computer science. Let's have a focus and then let's start building a curriculum from there. 10th grade is a more official grade to start the career counseling and the college admissions first advisory program, because for some schools is when the actual grades are counting. And here it will depend on really what educational system your secondary school follows. If you come from an American school, ninth grade is important. If you come from a British curriculum, then 10th, 9th, and 10th, if you take the IGCSE, that count. If you come from a different educational system, it's typically the last 3 years. If you go to an IB school, then after 10th grade, you will have to select your IB courses, the HL and SL courses. If you follow the A-level curriculum, you will have to select your AS level and A levels after grade 10th. So it is really good to have a focus. You don't have to be committed to a particular degree, but at least you should know if you're more into science or into the humanities or into commerce or into the creative industry, or if your degree is multidisciplinary, which is a very interesting option that is available right now. Once we go into 11th grade, we already have something, something written down, some experiences already settled. You might have lived something meaningful. You might have more clarity into the type of life that you want to construct. And 10th and 11th grade are the years to start selecting how are you going to be spending your summer. If you want to travel during summer, there are some summer camp options that are either more athletic focused or more professionally focused or more career focused or more recreational focused. And we have different providers depending on what your interests and goals are. And let me bring you one example. If you're looking into a very technical, competitive, and a very hardworking summer camp, there is one in Germany at a private university in the near areas of Bremen named Constructor University. And they do have STEAM summer camps into the math, chemistry, physics, data science, and engineering for students who want to have a strongly academic, rigorous curriculum, for students who want to spend 2 weeks studying very hard, trying to learn how to do research, and I want to have a sense of what the German curriculum looks like. If you are looking for something more experiential, maybe you don't want your son or daughter to spend 8 to 10 hours a day studying or working on project, but you would like them to have a balance around classes, around social life, and also meet a destination. There are really good summer camps that bring the best of the two worlds, being at a very prestigious institution such as Oxford, Imperial College London, UC Berkeley, or the University of Yale, taking classes, but also networking with people from all over the world. And if you want to have a more petite or more niche experience in which your son or daughter might have more personal mentoring, but mixing what is to study a career and what is to work at a career, there are other summer camp providers that they offer this career-based experience in which they visit hospitals if they are into medicine or into the health sciences, where they go and they observe what is a day like in an engineering company or at a legal services firm or at a big multinational corporation or at a big hotel. Depending on what the career path is, then we can decide what the program that better aligns your objective might be. So this is how we take advantage for students that are in grade number 10th and grade number 11th. On the other hand, 11th grade is a year for planning. Starting targeting universities, what are our rich institutions, what are our safe universities, how much will cost the preparation, and also tuition and living expenses. What exams do I have to take if I want to enter this specific class? What classes can I enroll in grade 12? Who my professors that will write my letters of recommendation might be. This is the year in which we plan. We're not executing a project, but we want to finish a planning. So when we reach grade 12, it's only about execution. I personally recommend starting working on documentation such as essays, resume, letters of recommendation, application platforms if they are available the summer before entering grade 12. Because once the month of August and September arrives, it is a moment that time will start going very fast. And we just want to be implementing what we have planned a year ahead or some months ahead. Okay, so if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. I see there are some of the questions. One is, do you work with any colleges and universities in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Leiden? If yes, how does housing get sorted? Very good question. To let you know, I'm just going to go over there right now. All right, here we go. The way the U4U works, we have two categories of services. One category is if we have a partnership with the university, it means that we have an agreement, that we have direct communication with admissions, recruitment, marketing, and some other departments, and we can offer you help without our counseling fee costs. If we do not have an agreement with the university, we still can do the job, but we add our counseling fee expenses. So to answer your question, we have a partnership with the foundation program at the University of Amsterdam. That is a foundation program that can help students balance their educational system if you don't come from an equivalent educational systems to the Netherlands system. And after the foundation, you can progress to many research or WO universities in the Netherlands. As for housing, the way we work with housing is only with the housing options that are student-based and that are recommended through our partners. I know the Netherlands is a very competitive place to find accommodation, and we have to start looking way ahead of time. But if this is going to be your first year, you're 17 or 18-year-old, the month of March, the year that you enter the university, is the moment to start looking up for options. Our partners will provide some providers, and we will only recommend the ones that we know. We apply, we get appointments, we apply with you, and then if you get an offer, then we advise you to take it. If you would like to look for off-campus accommodations or accommodations on your own, that is also okay, but we will only base in the ones that we know. Next question says, I am not in a graded system. My son is 19. What category will he be in? That is a great question. It will be in the same category as a senior student. It depends on when your son wants to start the university. If you want your son to start next year in August, September, we start now profiling career, budget, destinations, different types of universities. If you want your son to start in January, February, or March, we're still on time. We will have to kind of like accelerate the process because September, October are the months to make the applications ready. But then we will avoid the whole process of what extracurriculars, what courses you can enroll, and we would go directly to making an application happen. Okay. So we can really adjust depending on your timing. I'm talking a lot about high school, but we also work with master students as well, with students that are already enrolled at a university and they want to transfer. Maybe some of them made a year in the country of origin and they would like to continue their studies in Germany or in the Netherlands or in the UK or in Canada. We can help with that program as well. This is a career and a university roadmap for you to have something visual about what highlights are more important depending on your level of education, ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th. If your son or daughter already graduated, it's going to be the same surveys for a 12th grader. Okay. Now let's keep going. What are the steps involved in the career and university planning process? Number one is self-assessment. We have to get to know you. And it's not only about what your GPA is. We really need to get to know what your preoccupations are. And with this, I want to highlight that our living experiences are as important as the career experience because in our experience, the majority of students that drop out after 1 year of college, that they come back to their countries of origin, it's not because of the career, it's because of the experience. I didn't like the food in the place I went or the weather was too much, long winters, if I go to Boston, for example, or I missed the sun, or this was not the place for me to make friends. I felt like I was very, very different from the rest. I didn't get to meet a lot of people that were international like me. So those details are very important because we want to make you conscious about them since day one. Also, how important is accommodation for you? Would you be willing to share a bathroom? Would you be willing to share rooms? Is it okay if you live with three people in the same room and you share a bathroom with eight other people? Like those questions can be very sensitive and have them clear since day one will help you profiling what institutions, what type of accommodations are going to be more suitable for you. Yeah, all right. Any other question? No. Now, career exploration, researching careers, industries, field internships. And by these, if you study in the UK, for example, many of the universities offer a full year of placement, which is 1 year in which the student, they don't go to the university, they work as a full-time employee and they get paid as a full-time employee. And once they are done, they come back to the university to do their senior year. That is really helpful, especially for those that are going into a degree that is practical, and also for those who are planning to stay. And by stay, the UK, for example, offers the post-study work permit that lets you to stay 2 years after graduation. But of course, if you want to stay those 2 years, you need to have a job offer. And a really good way to secure that job offer if you already had a placement year in sight. Placement years could be abroad as well, but those processes are really a bit more difficult. I would say the best way to take advantage is to go to a university that offers a placement year and prepare your CV, your interview skills, you as a student that is recommended by the university for companies since year one. Like always planning ahead is the best option to take advantage of all universities. We do university research, which is point number three. We do not only match you with career interests, but also with experiential and life experiences as well. Some people might be a better fit in classrooms that are of 10 students. Others might feel super well if they go to big auditoriums and have a calculus session with 100 students. What is your preference? That is something that we will ask. Then financial analysis and budgeting. This is very important because universities are not free. And even though if you get 100% tuition scholarship, you will still have to pay living expenses. And living expenses could be from 12,000 euros a year to 25,000 euros a year, depending on the city you want to live in, depending on the lifestyle that you're pursuing. If you go to Boston, living expenses are going to be higher than if you go to Hamburg in Germany, or if you go to Berlin in Germany. If you live in London, it's not the same as if you live in Edinburgh or if you live in Newcastle. So all those nuances, we like to take them in consideration. Profile building, this point number 5 is pretty much focused in the academics, especially if you have to take a standardized test. We want you to know ahead of time. If we don't have time, well, we can talk about it, but standardized tests such as ACT or SAT, we recommend that you have enough time to prepare, at least 3 months. We also want to target what score you need to get if you want to enter a specific institutions. There are plenty of universities that are test optional right now, but if you really want to point out or really get a merit-based scholarships in the US specifically, then SAT might be required. And then the application strategy. And by this, I want to highlight one specific case. 4 years ago, I counseled a student from Panama. She was a ballet ballerina since she was 3 years old. She came from a Jewish community in Panama, and she was profiling a lot of competitive institutions in Boston, in New York, and in Georgia. She wanted to go into health sciences, but her application strategy was not only based into what she wanted to study, but into really showcase her strength and what ballet and dancing has given her in her life. So we built something that was not required, but was very well seen for university admissions officers. We created a website. Well, she created a website that would highlight her life in the ballet, her life as a ballerina, her life as a ballet teacher for younger girls, her life in community service, and how her dancing skills really influence her community service, not the school one, but independent volunteering activities that she did. And with this, all these requirements, she entered and she studies now in Boston University. She also got into Emerson College. She also got into Northeastern. She got into all the schools that she wanted, but she decided to go to BU. So an application strategy, there's no one specific recipe for everyone. It has to be customized, but therefore we have to know you. So we couldn't really get into that application strategy if we didn't do the self-assessment and career exploration, if we didn't have a profile building ahead of time. So we really like customizing the strategy based on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a university that is, let's say, it doesn't involve a lot of exams and it's not that very competitive, we can also get there. And we love helping students that might say, I don't want to invest $1,000 in test preparation. I want to have an easier, smoother, faster process. Is there a university for me? Of course. There is a university for everyone, but it's not going to be the same university for everyone. Okay. What are the benefits of working with the U4U right now? There are many, but I'm just going to go over the most important ones. Number one, personal guidance and how it is combined with expert knowledge of institutions. As I'm telling you, combined, we do have 10 years of experience, myself, and then we have other partners from our other offices. We do receive a lot of training from the universities that we have collaboration in, but we also attend educational events yearly to be always up to date with what are the new trends in terms of the job market, in terms of admissions, in terms of how to prepare students. So we're constantly studying to be really up to date with what the market is requiring. Visa, homologation, and accommodation is not only about admissions. What happens after I have a lot of offers or some offers and denials? We also need to sit down and help you select where. If you are eligible for scholarships, you don't want to miss it. We want you to apply. Or if you receive a merit-based scholarship, we want to celebrate with you as well. We want to consider how you can find accommodation depending on the country. Some countries are very easy, like the United Kingdom, because it's like included within the university radar. Some countries are going to be more challenging, like the Netherlands or like Ireland, that we have to look very ahead of time. Some countries have dormitories like the US and Canada, and some countries we really have to hire someone external, or we really have to look into safe websites such as Germany. So it will really depend where we go, depending on what type of accommodation guidance you will receive. Visa, most of the students need a student visa to go abroad for studies unless you are a European passport holder and you go to the European Union. If you're an American citizen and if you go to the US, then you don't need a visa. But for the rest, the students might need a visa, and we have people that are specialized in that process. When we reach that point, there is a fee that we charge because we have to pay our visa advisor, but that person is an expert and has plenty of experience depending on the country you go. If it's Australia, there's a process. If it's Germany, Switzerland, it's a different process. If it's the UK, there are many requirements. If it's the US, Canada, there are other requirements. If it's Italy or France, there are other requirements. Also, local support, global reach. We always like partnering with people that are either local or with people that have enough experience in the market because, for example, Laura, we need Laura to really get to know your cultural language. We really need someone that purely understands how people think, in your region, because myself, I haven't lived in Barbados. I haven't been to Barbados yet. I know a lot about international education, but we need someone to really get to know what the values are for Barbadian families. What are some options that might be a better fit? How the economy works in Barbados? What are some degrees that are more aligned with the Barbadian economy than others? So we really like having that local knowledge that is highly, highly supported. Now, this is a very rhetoric question. I do not pretend you to send me a number here, but this is a question to reflect. What are my current son or daughter living expenses? And you don't have to answer anything, but I ask you that because sometimes when we build a financial chart, how much do I pay in school? How much do I pay in rent? How much do I pay in groceries, in extracurricular activities, in transportation? It is a yearly budget. So now I want to introduce you to start planning financially smartly and strategically. Budget is not a hurdle. I know this is a very sensitive topic for the majority of families, but we like to call it is our compass, and it really gives you a lot of direction and reality and clarity in what options are reachable, what options might depend on external factors. We don't want to have a full list of options that depend on external factors because we have zero control in the process. We want to have a half of options that we can really afford. We want to have other options that, a scholarship might be very possible, and it's very okay to have options that might depend on external factors, such as the university admissions being very selective, or that you depend on a scholarship to get there. So to give you more numbers, the cost that most of the people are concerned about are tuition, housing, and meal plans. They are the easier costs to get from a university perspective. Most of tuition fees are published in the university's website. Most of room and board are published in American institutions. If you go to Europe, not really. So this is something that we plan ahead and we know how much might that cost. But there are other costs that people usually ignore, and I want to talk about all of them. One of them are the admission tests. $200 might be the SAT or SAT in your country. What if you have to take it 3 times? It's $600 already. How much do academies that prepare students for SAT charge? We have found tutors that charge $30 per hour, but others might charge $60 per hour, and they sell courses that include 50 hours of preparation. So if you pay 60 by 50, that is a number, that is a budget. So this is the way we start planning. Application fees. The majority of the students apply through common platforms such as Common App in the US, UCAS in the UK, and several platforms in Canada. Some of the universities that we have collaboration with, they waive application fees to us. So if you apply through us, but if that is not your case, if you add 10 universities in Common App, and every application fee costs $80. It is $800 in application fees. And if you have never heard of this concept before, an application fee is the cost that you pay the university to receive your application. Otherwise, they would not even read your application. Some European institutions, they waive the cost. Some European institutions, they have higher costs, such as 150 euros to send an application to Bocconi in Milano, for example. The UCAS might cost 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 60 pounds. It would really depend. Visa fees, very important. American visa fees can cost up to $700. The student visa, I mean. But if you go to the UK, the tier 4 student visa, if you have one visa for 3 to 4 years, you can spend up to $3,000 or $4,000 in a student visa. So we don't want this cost to be a last minute talk or surprise. We want you to know before even deciding where you want to go. We really want you to have clarity on all the surrounding costs that are going to be implied if you choose one destination over the other one. Flight tickets. And of course, you might have traveled abroad already for vacations. However, flights, it's important to budget in higher cost because we do not control embassy times. And it's very typical that embassies give you an answer, let's say 1 month before your intake starts. Some embassies, let's say the Canadian embassy, can take a long time. Some students receive their passport back the week before they have to travel. Sometimes you might have to purchase a flight last minute. And we want you to be prepared for that. Even though if we want to have a consular process 6 months ahead, some countries do not allow you to do that. They allow you to do it 3 months before your intake. So flight ticket budget, it's also important. Insurance, very important, from 600 to 3,000 a year. Transportation, it would really depend. If you go to Europe, public transportation works, and that is the safest and the most affordable cost. You don't need to use Uber if you go to Europe. If you go to the US, you might live in a campus. You don't have to use private transportation unless you want to go to something particular at a city or somewhere else. But this is a way like we can be very mindful about our transportation choices. Books, it's also a budget. We need books. Some of them are digital, some of them can be leased, some of them can be purchased, and then student lifestyle. Now, we brought some charts, and these are all average costs, just to give you a heads up in how to compare destinations. We have the United States that in average, it can cost up to 55K, 60K. That is a very average budget. It could go as low as 35K a year, including tuition, room and board, and as high as $90,000 a year, especially in the universities that are in the Boston area, in Los Angeles, in New York City, in Washington, D.C. But if you go to FIU in Miami, it can cost 35K a year. If you go to a university in Orlando or to University of South Florida in Tampa, it could be 35K a year, 40K a year. If we look at Canada, Canada has a very broad budget range, but in Canadian dollars, if we compare them to American is always an advantage. So you could pay as low as 30K a year if you go, for example, to the University of Manitoba, or you can pay as high as $60,000 a year if you go to the University of Toronto. Okay. What is the difference? Manitoba and Toronto, they both belong to the most prestigious universities in Canada, but life in Toronto is way higher than life in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Okay. So this is something that you want to consider. Okay. Um, Now, if we go to the UK, there are many some beliefs, and I love talking about the UK because sometimes we can get into a very selective institution that is compared to an Ivy League in the US, paying half. And let me give you one example. Let's talk about the University of Manchester, which is top 8 in the UK and top 30 in the world. And it's comparable to Stanford University if we put it in American language. What you pay in Manchester is around 45K a year in US dollars, What you pay in Stanford is close to $80,000 a year. So it is not entirely 50% less, but it could be 40, 45-ish% less, and you get the best education you can get in the United Kingdom. Of course, if the university does not fall into the Ivy League or Russell Group institution category, tuition is going to be way lower. Could be as low as £12,000 a year, could be 14 or 15,000 pounds a year. And depending on your educational system and grades, your degree can last 3 years or 4 years, with the exception of medicine, dentistry, and veterinary medicine, which there's no country in the world that you can study medicine in 3 years. It's either 5 or 6. Then we have Ireland, and Ireland has also a very broad range of budget. If we go to elite institutions such as Trinity College Dublin, then tuition is going to be 24,000 euros. But if we go to other institutions such as Griffith College, then 10,000 euros a year is tuition. So it would really depend on what you're looking for and the majors you're looking for. In the Netherlands, and I want to highlight the Netherlands because if you hold a European passport, then tuition is going to cost even less than what is written in the chart. It could cost 2,500 euros per year, which is cheaper than many high schools in our regions. If you do not have a European passport, 12,000 euros a year is the budget, but it could be 18,000 euros a year if we look at Amsterdam or at Erasmus of Rotterdam as well. Okay. Um, I think there's someone who wants to ask a question. So someone from our team, if someone just raised the hand to ask a question not written down, but a spoken question, we can yield a few seconds right now for that person to talk. So yes, I don't know if you're asking, but I cannot hear.
Andrew is mute.
All right. Well, you can write them in the chat or let us know when you want to ask the question. And now we have Spain. Spain, we might, I don't know how popular it's going to be in your region, but Spain has different budgets as well. Alexandra, yes, you have a question. Yes, we cannot hear you.
Hello?
Yes, now we can hear you. Hi.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask from the Netherlands, with which universities do you have agreements with?
Okay, we work with the University of Twente for direct admissions only, so you need to have the equivalent diploma. We work with the Hague University of Applied Sciences, and we have two entry routes. One is through the foundation program if you don't meet the educational requirements, and the other one is the direct entry, a 3-year degree, if you meet the secondary school requirements. And we do have a foundation program at the University of Amsterdam. For the rest of the universities, then we have to charge our counseling fee and do a proper college prep package. But for the Netherlands, it's always important to check what your diploma and courses are going to be because their educational system does not equivalent to many educational systems in the world. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I also got a question about if we can provide a list of all the universities that we have an agreement with. Well, we can provide a list, but we might tell you that some of our agreements have really specificities. So for us, it's very important that you meet with us because you might check on very popular names such as Tulane University, which is in our list, but our agreement with Tulane only cover masters and some master programs. So we want to give you some list, but you always have to consult with us because some universities might not include every major. For example, medicine is usually out of agreements. If you are an American citizen and you want to apply to an American university, that doesn't fall under our agreement. So there are always some conditions that the agreements have. We know them, but you don't. So it is important to book an appointment and then we can really talk more personalized. All right. Now, what happened? Oh, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Okay. Now, what majors can I study abroad? And here we highlighted some majors that might be of interest to you. If you have specific questions on other majors, I'm also willing to answer. And two universities that are in our representation that might be very competitive for this specific career. So let's start with biology. Two really good options are the University of Connecticut, UConn, named as the state Ivy from the East Coast, and the University of Birmingham in the UK. We also have computer science, and we wrote the University of Utah. The University of Utah is top one for game design as well. So they're really good in all the information science and computer science faculty. And then the University of Victoria in Canada. Biotechnology, a very good option is the University of Manchester and the University of Manitoba. We do have renewable energy, and renewable energy could be as a bachelor and as a master. As a bachelor, we recommend the University of Exeter and the University of York. This is not a degree that is in every institution, it's very specific, but these two were pioneers. Financial technology. We can go into finance, actuarial sciences, math and finance, fintech. We have the University of Portsmouth in the UK and the University of Waikato in New Zealand. Environmental engineering, we have Queen's University, Belfast, and Oregon State University as well. Game design, we have Birmingham City University and the University of Brighton. And in game design, you can go into the STEM area or into the more illustration or artistic area. Data science, I wrote Constructor University in Germany and FIU. And just to give you a heads up, FIU just recently opened a major in data science and artificial intelligence. Every major in AI is new. If a university tells you that I have been teaching AI for the past 50 years, it's lying because, AI only exists since very recent. So there are some universities that are innovating their curriculum, and one of them is FIU in Miami. We do have cybersecurity. George Mason University is really good for that. It's one of the first universities opening such a bachelor's degree, and Cardiff University in Wales. And Software University, we recommend Strathclyde. I mean, they're not the only ones, but just to give you differences, Strathclyde in Glasgow and the University of Huddersfield, which is in the outside skirts of London. Okay. Other questions in the room? All right. I see our partners are answering. And now we also want to talk to you about the outcomes, where our students have been admitted to. This is obviously a very summarized list. I can give you more names, but I'm very happy to have always every year someone admitted at the University of Toronto. It's a very, very good university. We do not partner with the University of Toronto, but we offer the college preparation for that. We also have every year acceptances to the University of Edinburgh for bachelor's and for master's. The University of Twente in the Netherlands is highly competitive for engineering, for business as well. And even if you want to go to business, you will have a STEM preparation. Math and physics are the two most important subjects in these universities, like the European MIT, just to give you a comparison. Bocconi. Every year we send students to Bocconi for bachelor's, but we need a very competitive SAT and a GPA to enter. London School of Economics as well. For master's and for bachelor's, it depends on the diploma that you will graduate with. And then we have other institutions such as Colorado State University, great for engineering and for business. The University of Manchester, super tough for computer science, for chemical engineering, for management finance, for statistics, for mathematics, for chemistry, for architecture, for psychology. Istituto Marangoni for the fashion area, fashion design, fashion business, the combination of business and design, fashion styling and communications. And they have campuses in Milano, in Florence, in Paris, London, and Dubai. Trinity College Dublin, really, really good for STEM, for the sciences, for research, for literature as well. The University of Bristol, very prestigious for aerospace engineering, for physics, for astrophysics, for engineering program, for social sciences, and Newcastle, top for architecture, for farm management, for data science, for marketing, for finance, for international business, for cross-cultural communications. And there are others such as Oregon State, such as the University of Alberta, such as Boston University, Sciences Po, Columbia University, France and New York, Spanish universities such as IE Madrid, Sacro Cuore University in Milano, which is part of our portfolio, Constructor University in Germany. There is even one University of Applied Sciences in Berlin, Hamburg, and Potsdam that if you have a Latin American or Caribbean passport, you are eligible for a 50% scholarship, and the tuition fees would be of 6,500 euros a year for 3 years. So that is a really, really good offer. And they are really good for software engineering, for marketing, for business, for cinematography, for data science. All that is applied sciences is included. So there are really good offers and there are really competitive ones. But if you really want to know which one is for you, you need to book an appointment. Okay. Now, what are our services? I have already mentioned them, but I'm just going to list them right now just to make it visual and easier to process. Career design is focused on selecting your career. It's going to consist of a test, of an introspective interview, of sessions dedicated to explore the job market. And if we add the 6 personalized sessions, it will include already the university match. If it's without the university match, it's going to be 4 sessions. University match. It comes to when you don't know where to go, but you know what to study, because we will research universities and you to really do this match between budget, academic profile, what experience I envision to get, and what university can really provide me with my requirements. Other services are summer camps that can be specialized. I can go to study medicine for 2 weeks, or architecture for 2 weeks, or game design for 2 weeks, or fashion for 2 weeks. Other summer camps that are for more 14, 15, 16-year-olds are more into the sports, soccer, equestrian camps, golf, could be basketball, could go into MUN as well. Other more extracurricular focused summer camps or sport summer camps. And boarding schools. Boarding schools can go from a year to finishing secondary school abroad. The boarding schools we partner with are in the United States, in the UK, and in Switzerland. Some of them are in California, some of them are in Georgia, are in Texas, in Florida. Raven Gap is a name that I can tell you of one summer camp. We have some in Massachusetts, in Vermont, in New Hampshire. Freiburg, for example, school, it's a boarding school that we partner with in Maine. It will really depend on what you're looking for. There could be very, very small boarding schools or other ones that are 800 students, but it's all included in one fee. That includes tuition, room and board, extracurriculars, and then a lot of surveillance, not military surveillance, but your children are going to be really well taken care of if they live in their school. Okay. And now these are some of our partners that we highlighted, some of their logos. We have Tulane University for masters only, City University London for bachelors and masters, Louisiana State University offer really good scholarships, John Cabot in Rome, Drew University in New Jersey, Arizona State has several campuses around Phoenix, the University of York in the UK. We recently partnered with Western University in Canada. We have some programs at Toronto Metropolitan University. We do have Simon Fraser University in the British Columbia area. We do have Suffolk University in Boston, Kansas, University of Westminster in London, University of Alabama, Birmingham, Full Sail in Florida, in Dayton, Ohio, Colorado State, Illinois State, Anglia Ruskin in Cambridge, UCF in Orlando, UIC in Chicago. So there are many options. We don't need you to memorize them all today, but just that you know that we offer a lot of good options. And now, well, how can we start? Well, always book your free consultation session with either Laura and I or both of us together. So because you previously registered at this webinar, we do have your contacts. And after this webinar, we're going to send you a message for you to kind of like click and say, yes, I want to book my free session, or I want to book it for this week, for next week, for October, so we can really manage all your consultations. Now, do you have any other questions? Now is the time to ask questions. Anything that you would like to clarify? We do have some last 5 minutes, so let me know. Well, our team members, thank you, Andres, already posted a link to book your call. So it is a faster way to book your call today. And if you don't have any extra questions, then thank you very much for your time, for your attendance, and for the questions that you have asked. I don't know, Laura, if you would like to say any closing words.
I hope that you have found the webinar useful and it has brought clarity. As you can see, we have decided to start this new chapter in Barbados in order to make the students and the families to feel supported every step of the way. That's why I believe that schools need that also in Barbados. So it's with great pleasure that we are starting this new adventure.
All
Thank you all
right.
for watching.
There is one question. Will this entire presentation be made available afterwards? Well, Laura, that is up to you. You have all the contacts, so.
Yes, we will send you the recording. Give us a day and we will share it with all of you.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Well, hope to see you in a book your call or in a consultation this month or next month. Very happy to meet with you more in person. All right. Have a great rest of the day. See you.